Right, folks, we're in the 13th chapter. The Alter Rebbe is describing to us various types of Beinani. A Beinani, just a reminder, is the word Beinani comes from Bain, in between the righteous and in between the wicked. A person who has complete mastery over their behavior, which behavior is our actions, of course, our words, of course. And what people don't realize, it's even our thought, our deliberate thought. That which we can't control, the thought that comes to our mind, only the righteous have control over that. They have control of their feelings and urges in their heart. But the Beinani has only over behavior, thought, speech, and action. So we described yesterday a Beinani that, well, you can call it the working person Beinani, meaning that they are engaged in the world, and because they're engaged in the world, there's a lot of forces out there, as we all are sure fully aware of, forces that are trying to affect us, to sway us from a divine connection, and of course just to be self-indulgent, self-engaged, and self-directed, based on the animal soul, of course. So how is such an individual, how could the Beinani, in being a worldly person, meaning worldly in the sense that they are engaged in the world as opposed to as opposed to being in the 4 cubits of holiness, this person is engaged in the world, of course is doing all the mitzvahs, doing everything the way you're supposed to, but yet how's that person stay strong? So we explain there are 2 judges, but only one that rules. And why is there 2 judges? Because you have the judge of the animal soul and the judge of the godly soul. Each one gives its ruling, but ultimately it is God who helps and gives an added edge to the divine soul of this individual that they can overcome. And this is the nature of this first individual, that because the Beinani wants to always do what's right, fulfill what God needs of that individual, total mastery over thought, speech, and action, then this person really doesn't have, I would say, of course, have the wherewithal, but to be able to battle, being that you engage in the world, after you go to synagogue, pray and learn and so on, and go out into the world, God is there on the side. The person has some kind of love of God that remains from the prayers that they did in the morning, some kind of hidden love. The hidden love is also emerges, and therefore the person doesn't want to be disconnected. Now we speak about another person who sits and learns a whole day. Sits and learns a whole day. So this individual has an advantage. The business person, being engaged in the world, again, there's dirt out in the world that can affect. So you need gods to help you. This individual, being that they're engaged in their mind so consistently and constantly learning a whole day, that's their thing. They're sitting in the 4 cubits of yeshiva, of higher learning, and are, as a result, being that they're always engaged with their mind, they have the capacity to always engage the moyach shalit halev, the mind that has dominion over the heart. And therefore, whatever negative urges that come from the heart, they're always with their mind able to subjugate it, subdue it. They don't transform it. It's still always there. It's always lurking, and the desire is always coming to the fore and at least trying to give its opinion, its judgment, but it's always subdued, subjugated, because the mind has dominion over the heart. That's the second individual. This is the one who is engaged in learning all day, right? Or, in the holy environment and doesn't leave that holy environment. So the mind is always engaged, and therefore they have that capacity. Now we go to a third person. This person is a person who prays, and as they all do, but as their prayer is so powerful that the animal soul is so subdued that it appears as if it's kind of gone during the prayer service. Now, this Beinoni, and remember, this is the difference between a righteous person and a Beinoni. A Beinoni, the urges of the heart, the negativity that there can be in the mind, hasn't been transformed. By the righteous person, it's been transformed. So this individual has urges in the heart, lust in the heart that comes to the fore. But during prayer, they're gone. This individual is so focused on their prayers, so connected with a love and awe of God, that it's like, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist in that moment. Now, by a regular Beinoni, it's going to come back, once you finish, because that love is not sustainable. Something we'll speak about tomorrow. Is it real? Is it not real? By this third level of a Beinoni is an individual that love, that awe that is felt during prayers, somehow they're able to carry it throughout the day. And as a result, it appears, perhaps to the individual, as that they don't have a challenge at all from their the urges of the heart, from the Yetzer Hara, from the evil inclination, from the animal's soul. It appears as if it's completely been transformed, but indeed it hasn't. It hasn't. It's just that person's love and awe from the prayers are so powerful that it's, it overflows to the rest of the day. So it's still a Beinoni, not a tzaddik, because it hasn't been transformed. But this, the Alter Rebbe says, we can understand how Rabbah, in chapter 1, if you recall, we brought the sage Rabbah, who said, I am a Beinoni. And he was the leader of the generation. He was the holiest person in that generation. And we asked the question, how could he make a mistake about himself? First of all, obviously it doesn't mean that a Beinoni is half and half good and evil, because Rabbah was a righteous individual, the greatest in his generation. So, but yet, even that being said, if you're the greatest of the generation, every generation has righteous people. How could he, made a mistake? And you might say humility, but false humility has no place. And if you're indeed righteous and to call yourself a Beinoni, how do you get there? So Elder Rebbe explains, because he was on the level that his love and awe of God was present a whole day, he thought that maybe, it's present a whole day, not because I've transformed my animal soul and it's all holy, but because it's present, that love and awe from the prayers a whole day, that it's there still lurking somewhere in the recesses of the heart. It hasn't been transformed, but it's still in a minute manner there. And therefore, that's how he can make a mistake. Because we're not talking about a conscious mind over here. We're talking about the subconscious. So he maybe never had, the lure of the heart come to give its opinion, its judgment. Not to say that it wasn't there. It just, his love and awe were just constantly, aflame in his being. And that's today's Tanya. I had a question here from Jason, which let's get to in a moment. But let's say hello to Linda. Good morning from New York. Nathan, Boker Tov. Sarah Malka from North Carolina, welcome aboard. And Bradley, also from there, North Carolina, shalom. Valmir from Brazil, Boker Tov. Marlene from Oklahoma, welcome. Alice from Baltimore, good morning. Paula from Chicago area, good morning. From Robert from Boston, shalom. And Daniel from Manchester in the United Kingdom, good afternoon. And Jake from Birmingham. All right, hello. A shout out, yes. And who else? Devorah Boker Tov from Olive Branch, Mississippi. Okay. Denise Boker Tov, New York. Ian, good morning. So Jason, you have a question. If the Rasha decides to repent and overcome his Yetzer Hara, and in one particular moment he or she overcomes a challenge and defeats the Yetzer Hara in that one moment, is he or she considered a Beinoni for that one moment? What if tomorrow he or she goes back to sinning? Excellent. So we explained that in chapter 11, that you can have a Rasha that once a month maybe they do something wrong. Once a month that the animal soul prevails over them, that they say something, a little gossipy. They say they have a negative thought that they entertain, that they willfully are thinking, and it's once a month. So their animal soul is not powerful, but powerful enough that it brings them down once a month. That is not called a Beinoni. It's called a Rasha V'Toivloi. Yet, what we call them is a BIT, Beinoni in training. It's not, because a Beinoni means that they're on such a level that it would not be possible would not be, so to speak, on where they're at, the capability of doing something wrong in their behavior. Always winning the battle, which makes it very difficult that indeed we become that Beinoni. Excellent question. Good morning, Shaheen from New York. Susan from Scranton, good morning. John from North Carolina, good morning. Susan Boker Tov to you in Florida. Jean from Alabama, good morning. Julie from Florida, good morning. Teo, good morning. Benny, shalom. Irene, hello. Ilana. So, Jean, the conflict and the temptation is still there. It's just easier to deal with. It's still Are you talking about the third level? You're asking. So this third level of Beinoni, it's quite remarkable, because you would think it's a tzaddik, but since it's really just it's sort of like it's in the back burner and never coming forward, but it hasn't been transformed. That's the key. Since it's not transformed, so it's not a righteous individual. Very high level of a Beinoni, mind you, but not righteous. And finally, we have Cormac from Wexford, Ireland. Hello and welcome. All right, folks, sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day.